Good morning, everybody. We welcome this morning Lieutenant General Douglas Lute. General Lute is accompanied by his wife, Jane Lute.
The question in my mind is not to what extent can we force them or lever them to a particular outcome, but rather to what degree do they actually have the capacity themselves to produce that outcome, and if produced or if pressed too hard, will we in turn end up with an outcome that isn't really worth the paper it's written on.
Are you retain some of your skepticism overall about the chances of?
I think it's useful for all of us to remember that this government was formed for the first time just a year ago, so they're at the one-year mark. Further, this is the first government of its kind, duly elected, founded on a constitution which was endorsed by the Iraqi people in the history of Iraq. So in these very early days of capacity building inside the Iraqi government, I just caution that we should be aware that this is a very immature, still emerging government.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pick up, and you know more about this than I do. We're paying a very heavy price to allow them to grapple with seizing the reins of sovereignty. When I listen to witnesses say, yes, the government's only been in business a year, yes, wake up. We're paying a heavy price for them to establish this government.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do appreciate your accommodating this. We have an EPW hearing that is very, very significant.
How much more time should we give after 4 years in Iraq? Baghdad is burning while the Iraqi politicians avoid accepting responsibility for their country's future. I believe the only chance to get Iraqi politicians to stand up is when they know we are going to begin to stand down. Thank you. Let me just, we have a few minutes before we're going to have to run. We'll have maybe a 2-minute round now to get a couple of us in before we have to run and vote.
My sense is, if you step back, your appointment represents a devastating critique of the national security apparatus of this White House.
I don't know why you would put yourself in this position, but I'm grateful that you saw that this was a way to continue your service, and I wish you well in a position that many of us believe is an impossible one. And we can only hope that perhaps you might be listened to where others have been ignored.